This is Simon Benoit of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you're listening to the Ladies Talking Leafs podcast.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Leafs. I'm Chris.
And I'm Sil.
And we're into playoff show number 2 of Ladies Talking Leafs, and the Leafs are 1 win away from closing out the Senators. Woohoo! We have lots to talk about, but first we want to ask you, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We are only 4 subscribers away from hitting the 400 mark, so we need you to do that. Or even if you're listening on another app, on Apple, Spotify, whatever, if you go and check out our YouTube channel, because we have lots of video there too, from games we've gone to, and and you can check out our show there, watch the show, and just hit that subscribe button so we can get to that 400 mark.
Yes, please do. And just a quick note that starting Monday night, the NHL will be announcing trophy finalists, starting with the Vezina Trophy on Monday. The Hart Trophy is going to be announced on Thursday, May 1st. Do we think any Leafs are going to get any consideration for any NHL awards?
The only thing the only award I can think of is the Selke.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm leaning towards Matthews possibly getting
That's what I was thinking too. But really, it could go either way, like Mitch or him. But generally, they tend to kind of covet centerman for that trophy for whatever reason. So, it's just because of the role.
That's the only one that I can really see. Unless the Lady Bing for the sportsmanlike flair. But normally somebody from Carolina gets that normally, or one of those other teams. But yeah. So, but actually, May the 1st. One note that I was reminded of is the day that the Leafs won the Stanley Cup in 1967. Thursday. Mm-hmm. So that's also, I'm sure we'll see that somewhere on the Sportsnet or Hockey Night in Canada channel.
And hopefully we won't be playing that night.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, we won't be. So we already know that.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, let's just get into the games here. Starting with the positive, because we are up 3-1, the Leafs right now, as we record this podcast. And first thing I like to say is just Craig Berube's influence, basically, on this team as a whole. Like, it's just the Berube buy-in, we're calling it. And over the first 3 games, anyways, the things that this team hasn't done in the Matthews and Marner era previously that I picked up on was basically like defending the net front. They don't wilt under pressure, and there's a calmness to their game. And that don't wilt under pressure and the calmness, I don't know. I think basically for me, I saw it in those 2 OT games, games 2 and 3. Like, they just seemed very confident. I mean, there's pressure there. Obviously, you're going into OT, and even in game 4, I mean, we lost in game 4, but still, there's just something that there's not a nervousness to them anymore. I don't know whether it's just coming from the fact that from the defensive side, like, we have a stronger defense than we have in previous seasons, and better goaltending, if that's just what's bringing out that calmness. But I really think it's from Craig Berube putting that into the players over the whole season.
Oh, for sure. And I think the proof of this is I was listening to some pre-game audio from or interviews with the players, and Brandon Carlo was being interviewed, and he must have said, we just have to trust the process. We got to, work the process. He must have said process about, like, swear to God, it was like 500 times.
Yeah.
And then I heard Craig Berube talk, and he also used that word. So it is, Carlo has not even been here that long.
Right.
But it's obviously drilled into them.
Yeah.
That, stick with the process. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Have composure. And the thing that I've noticed, like, in this era, the Marner Matthews, Nylander, you can put him in there too. I can't remember a series where there wasn't like nerves or they had to hang on for the first 10 minutes of a period, or they were kind of scrambling and losing it towards the end of a period when it got tight. There was always moments like that, because I remember how stressed out and pacing and all of that I was as a fan. And I just feel like, that's what it is. It's the composure. And that does come from, Treliving building from the goal to the D out, a really steady defensive unit and excellent goaltending that we're getting. But generally, these things come from the coach, the leader, the main person. And, that's the personality he embodies. And, it's filtering down to the players. And I just feel like every game, no matter what, they've been the same. I haven't seen, them kind of losing their minds out there and scrambling and all of that like we have in the past. They look like the veteran team that they should look like right now.
Right. Yeah. And like even like last night, don't wilt under pressure. I mean, they were down 2-0.
Yeah.
And I wasn't nervous at that point. I was just like, yeah, okay, we'll wait, sort of thing, right? Sure enough, they tie it up. Right. They tied it up and then they went down again, and then OEL got that goal with less than 5 minutes or so left in the game. But and they managed to tie it up. They didn't win, but whatever. But that's the part that I think it's instilled from the coach. And then the ice time, I think, is a huge thing too. It was only last night in game 4, I noticed, I guess Riley actually played over 30 minutes. I know it was a bit of a longer overtime, but that's way too much for Morgan Riley to be playing over 30 minutes. So,
well, yeah. And I think that it was added to it because of JT being off for a bit,
right.
With that, a little bit of being banged up there for a moment. But the ice time thing, that goes back to the composure too. Right. You start playing your big guns too much sometimes when you're kind of not sure and not trusting your players. But they're not doing that. So, and the fact that, and I love that whole mentality. And I think he's not the only coach that feels this way, that, everybody's got to get at least 10 minutes to have their legs, because you're going to need everybody. And so you can't have guys, sitting there for the majority of the game and only playing like 5 minutes and not contributing, because then you don't get the full buy-in,
And that's where you see that fourth line with Lawton, Lorentz and Yarncroke. Like they're playing like really well. They're getting that 10, 11, 12 minutes. And it's definitely turned around for Scott Lawton, which is great to see.
Yeah. I'm really rooting for him to get some offense though, to get a goal or something at some point. That would be good, but
that would be good.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, another thing that we've talked about already previously, but again is like so obvious, is we're getting offense from the defense. And that was like a narrative going into this series, because Ottawa does tend to do that. They get quite a lot of offense from their D. And what we're like one of the worst in the league, actually last, even, with goals from the defense in the regular season. So right now we have 5 goals from D-men in the playoffs, and that is the most currently.
Yeah.
So who would have ever thought that? Like I would never have bet on that one going into this.
And it was just great to see Simon Benoit score that. That was overtime
incredible.
Winner. It was great for him. I don't know that.
Yes.
He just has
Simon Benoit, friend of the show.
Yes. Friend of the show. Yeah. We got to interview him back in training camp. So you can always go back on our shows to see the interview with him. He was a great guy when we met him, and and he just needs to keep drinking that coffee, I think. So that'll keep him going. But it was great to see that. That's the whole thing. Like the unsung heroes, like Max Domi. He took the stupid penalty yesterday to start off the game. I wish he didn't do that. With that, I guess, jab that he took on the face-off draw. But in game 2, he got the OT winner, and it was just great to see him him get that after messing up. He was on the ice, I think, or it was partly his fault for the game tying goal in game 2 for the Senators. But he came, and again, this is Craig Berube. He put the trust in him. He put him back out there. I didn't think he was going to see the ice in OT in game number 2.
No, I know.
But yeah, so that was great. But going back to the defense, I mean, Tanev and McCabe are just...
It's incredible, how seamless their play is.
Yeah, you have no worries at all when they were on the ice. And Riley has really gotten used to with Brandon Carlo, just that pairing as well.
No, and I mean, I'm trying to key in on Carlo and watch him. Yeah, but he's almost like the invisible man out there, which is exactly what you want in that kind of defenseman. You know, you're noticing Riley, and why? Because Carlo is doing all the things he's supposed to. Simple game, clearing the net. I mean, he was in bad position on that overtime goal, kind of, but for the most part, he's just doing the simple things and making it a lot easier for Riley to get his offense going. One thing I will say though is the fact that, this is where, yes, should we be getting more from our stars? Yes, we should. But the fact that they get keyed in on so much is leaving these guys available and open to make these, to take these shots and score these goals, because that's not who they're guarding. That's not who the Sens are guarding against, in those moments in close to the net, right? And they're able to get the shots through. And the fact that we've got great guys that can screen in front of the net, like Tavares and Matthew Nyes, they're creating havoc there for the goaltender. And then these guys are just, getting these seeing eye shots through.
Yeah. No problem with John Tavares. I mean, he's been great for the whole series. Right now he has 3 goals, 2 assists. John Tavares and Matthew Nyes, I think, have been our top 2 forwards so far in this series.
And honestly, it was such a small part of the game yesterday, but the fact that JT got hit that way and was not available for those key moments in that overtime. Yeah. That I think was a huge, especially for the power play portion when we had the 4 minutes. Yeah. He wasn't available there. I think if he was, I think we would be looking and talking about different things in this episode.
Yeah. No,
I really believe that.
I totally agree. It's kind of strange. I mean, thankfully he's okay and he'll be playing in game number 5, but it's almost like, because he is a leader and he is a leader in the dressing room, and it's almost like the way in the bubble there when he got hit brutally, but he was out obviously by Corey Perry versus the Habs there in that accidental on purpose knee to the head. But yeah, it's almost like that. As soon as that was more dramatic, obviously, and awful. But he was out of the game, and then that basically just changed the whole series for that. And then for that short period of time last night in that game number 4, when he got knocked out, and there was no penalty, of course, to that, what's his name, Zub or whatever, who hit him shoulder to the head. But I mean, that made a difference.
That's playoff hockey, though. It comes down to key moments.
Yeah, and you gotta
and that was a key moment.
Yeah,
and it changed just ever so slightly the trajectory of that game yesterday.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. But all right. So we kind of went from the defense to the offense there, but that's okay. We're covering it all here.
Yeah.
Okay. So on to a bit of a negative from game number 4. It was the bad start. It was the first period. They were not good. The Leafs were not good, and it just started with that Max Domi penalty.
Seemed a little bit looser in that start, which, this is the thing, is that, it's not over till it's over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, but considering, I didn't think we were actually the better team 5-on-5, apparently, according to the stats.
Yeah. And the thing is last night is the one of the games that we outshot them by a lot.
Yes.
which is so unusual currently for what we've normally been doing.
Yeah.
So I think that actually does show that they were looser and not playing as tightly to their structure, because the fact that they had a lot more shots, that means they gave a little bit from their defensive side of the game.
Right. Yeah.
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 And therefore checking, they just weren't as,
and then we
they
gave
weren't
up
playing to their structure as well.
Yeah. So we got
they weren't following the process.
Yes. Definitely weren't, because they gave up a shorthanded goal too.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Which as soon as that goes in, you kind of know, okay, what kind of night is this going to be now, sort of thing, right? The one thing that I didn't like on that shorthanded goal, though, I liked Matthew Nyes getting his ass going and being the first guy back there. But William Nylander and, Matthews and Marner kind of came first after Nyes, but Nyes was like already in the net because he was basically trying to reach the guy before he scored. It was Pinto, I guess it was. I think it was. But I would like to have seen Nylander. I know he was kind of on his knees, but he could have got up a little bit and skated towards the other end. I don't know. I just think that you got to show a little bit more, not to just give up on the whole play. I know it was the 5 forward power play too, which whatever. That was the first time that sort of didn't work for them in that instance, right? And then, but they came back, right? Like we mentioned earlier. So that was good, but I didn't like the shorthanded goal, and just moving on to Matthews and Marner.
Before you mention them, because you mentioned Nylander, he's the one guy that typically everyone's talking about how great he is in the playoffs. I actually think he has not been as good as he normally is in this series to this point.
Yeah.
Well, so
he has
he's had some great moments, and obviously made some awesome plays, especially some of the passes he's made on a couple of those goals have been like, elite
but normally
plays.
you do see him in the O-zone with the puck on the string, basically. Like it's just attached to him or following him, as they say.
So I'm waiting for his moment, and I'm sure that he's going to get one at some point.
Yeah, because Willie, he has a goal and 5 assists right now. All right, and then
isn't shabby by any stretch.
No,
it's not.
But it's a lot of these top guys, including the next two. It's
part and parcel of the same thing.
Is Matthews and Marner. They also each have. Marner has a goal and 6 assists, and Matthews has a goal and 4 assists. So all of them have lots of assists, but we need goals, right? And that's what's been the problem. The previous playoffs that we've had is scoring. But Matthews and Marner,
we're getting the depth scoring right now.
Yes.
Which is great. Yeah. But we also want the scoring from our stars.
Right. And
you kind of want both of those things, and you kind of need both of those things to really go far.
Right. And for $23 million combined, Matthews and Marner, they need to step up and produce more when it comes to goal scoring. One of them has got to take over. That's one thing, like in the playoffs, going back to 93 with Doug Gilmour, Wendell Clark.
Yeah, we had huge moments from those guys.
Yeah, they stepped up every game. They were both stepping up in every single game, but there were a lot of moments, and Leaf fans know that, like they've seen the replays from that. And our friend Matt Sundin, also, he had his moments.
Yes, for sure.
Right?
And we wouldn't have known right down to what they had for every pregame meal, if that wasn't the case.
Right.
Like all the stuff they did, it was like we got into the minutia of it all because it was so incredible. Yeah. Right. So we need to see that from these guys. I will say, though, that towards the end of that game, in the overtime, Matthews had some incredible looks that I just think it's like, to me, it might be just a matter of time till he starts burying those.
Well, the thing is, it was in
good chances.
That goal he had in game number 3, the one goal he has in this series, he was pumped when he was scored. Like he was fired up, and like my nephew was mentioning it to me. Actually, he was just saying, he's like, I thought that was going to just turn it, like, that's what was going to get him going.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I mean, again, it's not that they're playing bad, like they're playing really good, but
Mm-hmm.
we need them to score. And
Mhm.
we need that to happen in game 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Preferably both, but even if it's just one, take the team on the back. One other thing I'd like to see Matthews do more, a little bit being the captain, is to start talking to these referees a bit. You know, normally you see the captain,
Mhm.
like, you know, he's always going around, like, not to be a crybaby or anything like that, because I'm sure that's what.
Well, you know what? Some of the best were that.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I look at Wayne Gretzky,
Yeah.
Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby,
Yeah.
even Connor McDavid,
Oh, yeah.
among Steven Stamkos.
Yeah.
All among the biggest whiners I have ever seen. Constantly yapping at the refs. And you know what? Things went their way quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that's not nothing.
No, but I think that's one thing that Matthews has to start learning a bit more, or doing a bit more. I
think JT also didn't model that either that much.
True.
He doesn't. He's not a whiny guy either, right?
Yeah.
Like, so,
but
you know.
Still,
not that I want my captain to be a whiner, but I mean, yeah, I guess I do kind of want him to be a whiner.
Yeah.
Like, just
you look at Brady Tkachuk; he's whining constantly, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to.
And there's a professional way to do it. Yeah. You know, like, you don't have to be like that example, Brady Tkachuk, but you can talk to them and plead your team's case.
Yeah, you got to be right in there when Brady Tkachuk is there.
Yes.
You got to be there too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see enough of that right now. And I would
have to agree 100% with that.
I'd like to see a little bit more of that from Matthews. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So is there anything else from the series so far that we want to highlight?
The only thing I think is this commentary from Hockey Night in Canada. I don't know. I've been trying to, I have lined up Joe Bowen's broadcast actually on the, from the radio. I have managed to line it up on my TV, because I just cannot stand that Craig Simpson and Chris Cuthbert. Like, I mean, it's just like, and even the panel, it's just like everything that the Senators do. Like, they're always just making it so wonderful.
I know, like you can be excited for them to be in the playoffs.
Right.
But it's highlighting and talking positively about the Leafs doesn't take away from the fact that they're there now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
they're supposed to be impartial too.
100%. But the thing is I don't know. They are trying to be too impartial, you know, and then it's making them biased.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I just don't like the, this whole thing. We were talking about this before we came on the show, but the whole thing with Claude Giroux in this series that he was in, we looked it up 15 years ago when he was like 22 years old with the Flyers and the Bruins, where Flyers were down 3-0 and they came back to win the series in game 7, but he was 22 years old.
Well, you know,
he's 37 now.
A few of the other teams that have done it, guess what? They were Leaf teams that have also done it.
Right. But
1951 or something like that.
Yeah,
the Leafs did it.
These Hockey Night in Canada, like these people that comment on it, they're like, they just go on about this. It's like, what does that have to do with anything now, today? That was 15 years ago, and it's a totally different team. 2 totally different teams, and he was 22 years old at the time. Everything is negative that they talk about us, like the whole now we're 1 for 13 in the elimination games. Well, it's like,
well, yes, true. That is a fact.
That's fine.
But eventually we won't be.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kind of banking on that. So that streak could end tomorrow. Yeah. Or not tomorrow, Tuesday.
Yeah. Anyways, I've had enough of them. I just, I turn it off and I do as much as possible. I try and line up with with Joe Bowen.
You gotta love Kevin Bieksa though. Like he is, I think he's noticing how negative it is. And he's kind of going like, wait a minute here. And all the love he's giving Benny as well. I mean, I'm all for that. So that's great.
All right. Yeah. So is there anything else that you have?
No, not really. I mean, the only thing I will say is that I picked them to win in 5. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But I think because they went up 3 games, to me, I was just like, get it done already.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't, that made me a little bit more miffed maybe than I might be if it was like, if they were like 2-1 or something like that. So
actually, the other thing that bothered me though is I don't understand. Like they showed fans going in, like there's a lot more Leaf fans there in Game 4 in Ottawa. They showed them with the broom
too,
right?
I
with
know.
the brooms, and I'm like, what? So why? We're the only Leafs Nation is the only fan base that would go into an arena with brooms.
Yeah.
I'm sure if it was the other way around.
No, the difference is I saw blue brooms. Maybe
Whatever.
Other teams don't bring the right color or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought it was ridiculous. Like, and then they're like, it's all over social media, whatever, with the brooms. Who cares, right? Like, that's what fans do, right? If it was the other way around, that's the way it would be, right? It just, I don't know.
Of course, the fan base is hoping for the sweep.
Yeah, exactly.
We all are disappointed about that part,
Yeah, but anyways. All right. Well, the first round is the best round of the NHL playoffs. We all know that. And we're now going to highlight a couple of playoff series that have caught our attention. So you go first with this Washington-Montreal one.
Yeah, so
that's the one you picked.
Yeah, well, obviously, like there's a little bit of news because of the hilarious brawl in the bench between Wilson and oh god, who was it?
Josh Anderson.
Oh yeah, Josh Anderson, our lovely friend Josh Anderson. That's why I tend to forget him. And I've never seen anything like that. So like, first of all, there's that. But I just feel like Washington better watch themselves, because watching this series, it really, and the fact, where Montreal is, how they came into this playoff, we have had experience, our team, and of course us as fans have experience with them, coming in this position before.
Yeah.
Washington has been so caught up with the whole Ovi thing. It did become a distraction in the end, kind of took them off their game towards the end. They were home and cooled out. We've seen what it's like that to come in like that too, on the Leafs' point of view.
Yeah.
When you already know who you're going to play and you're finishing on the top, no one's catching you.
Right.
Boston got caught off guard that way too recently.
Yeah.
Montreal is a very plucky team.
Yeah.
Young guys, very hungry. They brought in that Demidov kid at the end. You see the people scoring right now, Cole Caulfield, Slavkovsky scored, that Demidov has made an impact. He's struggling a bit right now, but still, they are a plucky team.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to sleep on them. Plus, you go into their building, and that building, the energy there is incredible.
Yeah.
Those teams, those players, those fans really bring it. And I just think that I'm not saying that Washington is going to lose, but they better be careful, because this is a team that can sneak up on you.
Yeah.
In the position that they're in, coming in with the mindset that they've had, I think that this has the potential for an upset.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And I think the fact now, apparently this goalie, because now Samuel Montembeault, yeah, he's out of at least for this game, anyways, on the Sunday night Game 4. But I think it's how do you pronounce it?
Dobesh.
Yeah. So apparently
so Montreal's up right now.
Are they winning right now?
Again,
okay. Yeah, because they
could be tied at the end of this game.
Yeah, and they really play well. With this backup goaltender behind them. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I did love that fight, the bench.
I know that was like one of the most incredible things I've seen. It wasn't really crazy.
Yeah. And
I've watched it more than once.
Yeah. Yeah. And Washington, I don't know, like you said, I think a lot of their success came from that whole Ovechkin goal milestone going after that all season long. That's where
Yeah.
a lot of the success has come from. And it's going to be interesting. What's his name? Sandin. He's playing pretty well, though, as on the defense, our former Leaf there, Rasmus Sandin. Yeah, he's playing really well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting if they tie it up tonight. And I still think Capitals are going to win, probably it could go 7. I could see it going 7.
Yeah.
And
but
yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them to get a scare put into them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, going to game 7 would definitely do that. But
yeah,
no, we'll see what happens. All right.
So you're looking at the Oilers Kings. That's another interesting one.
That is
has a lot of narratives.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. I was like, I looked at the first 2 games. Like, I could not believe letting in 6 goals. I mean, LA in the first game, they blew the 4-goal lead, right? So but they still won. Right?
I know.
How do you come back? Like you would think that the Oilers on their side, they scored 4 goals, to make up that lead, and they still lost in that game. But they lost 6-5 in that first game, which to me was just insane. And then the second game they lost 6-2. And to me, 12 goals in 2 games, Stuart Skinner, the goalie there, I knew immediately. I just thought, you got to change it up. And then I don't know, the McDavid and Draisaitl have both been there, but again, I guess this Ekholm, they keep going on about the fact that the defense losing Ekholm is basically the end of their defense core there, just because he's out of the lineup when one.
But that just tells you that they're not there yet. If one guy is such, we've had that situation.
Yes. Yeah.
When there's one guy who's missing, and then you just don't have enough of a supporting cast.
Yeah.
And I just can't believe that. Knowing what they went through last year, yes, did they get all the way to the final? But it was like a miracle with Skinner.
Right.
Did you really expect that it was was it reasonable to expect that he was going to repeat that?
Yeah. No, I know.
I don't think he's that good. And then they didn't get enough, Pickard, he's just like a everyday Joe backup. He's nothing special either,
Yeah.
They didn't do anything there, which I don't know.
Game 3, I mean, they were down going into the third period, right? And they got the power play to and then 2 empty net goals they got.
No, I know.
Win.
And
so
I think
they didn't win convincingly in that game.
But McDavid, how they've come back, and McDavid has been playing out of his mind.
Right.
By all accounts, I haven't watched a lot of the games, but to a man, everybody's saying that he's playing some of the best hockey they've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
And they're still not winning.
Yeah.
So, it's.
Yeah, he has 2 goals, 5 assists. So 7 points in 3 games. And Draisaitl has 5 points in 3 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. But you can't just everybody, it's kind of funny how everybody picked them to win the Stanley Cup this year. A lot of people, a lot of analysts. But I didn't even see it myself. You can't just win because you have he is the best player in the world, but one guy.
But you don't have enough around him.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Connor Brown to death, but
yeah,
he's not enough.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And Zach Hyman isn't playing, I don't think.
Yeah, he hasn't had as good a year as he did last year too, and he's getting older as well. So, I don't know. I kind of feel like it took everything out of them to get to where they did last year.
Right. And then they lost those 2 players, Holloway to the
and they should have just matched those contracts. Because those St. Louis is doing pretty well right now, and those guys are contributing. So those are the kind of the depth guys that come up in your system. That's just a mistake to give up on your young players like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and now they're paying for it, I think, in the end.
For sure.
For not having those depth players that you need to go far in the playoffs. So,
definitely mistakes there. And not all on the players, really.
No.
You can look at, to management. And I don't know, like maybe also they're at the point where, I know that Knobloch, has a history with McDavid and everything. Maybe they need a new voice now too.
Maybe, but
I mean, the guy's not been there a long time, but they probably need a little bit more of a hard-nosed person.
Yeah.
Right now, they kind of have a player coach in McDavid, I kind of feel.
Yeah.
No one really talks about that, but I kind of feel like that's sort of the way it is out there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting if they don't get past the guy that I'm really impressed with from LA is Adrian Kempe.
I know.
I didn't realize he's Swedish. I didn't know
I remember that he was on the Swedish team. I remember him.
Was he? Oh, okay. All right. Because, so it's funny, though, because I don't remember. Do you remember anybody mentioning when we were there for the Global Series? Do you remember anybody mentioning him? Like in the, like when I don't remember anybody talking about him, like from the local people when we were asking them about Swedish players.
Not really. Not really.
No. But I don't know, maybe, but he's playing phenomenal. He has, defensively, he's not the best, but whatever. But he has 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points in 3 games. And just it seems like they've scouted the goalies pretty well. He's shot, I think it's top, like it's always the top corner on the right side. He's always getting the shot right up there and scoring on them.
They don't even really need to scout them that much. They played them like every year for the last 4 years. So
true.
I think they kind of know where to shoot. But
that's true.
It's one player. And of course you got Kopitar too, he's one of the best centers in the league still.
Yeah, they have Kopitar and Doughty there as the key guys going way back to their Stanley Cup wins, right? So you can't say enough about them for sure.
And then of course you got Trevor Moore contributing.
Yeah, of course. But he fits in there. He's from down there, right?
Yeah,
so he's doing well.
That's fine. I'm not upset about it. I'm happy for him, but anyway.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've covered it all for now. And we'll be back next week with another playoff edition of Ladies Talking Leafs. Hit that follow button wherever you're listening to our show and don't miss an episode. Remember to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Get us to that 400 mark. And if you're watching on YouTube, again, hit the subscribe button. And you can also find us on the Believe Network at Believe.com, BLEAV.com. And we'd love to hear from you. Be sure to leave us a rating or review. Feedback from our listeners is so important, and we thank you for taking the time.
And another way to help us out is by visiting our Ko-fi page at Ko-fi.com. You can follow us there, and if you choose to, you can support us by buying us a coffee. Any donation goes towards helping us produce the show and making it even better for you. You can find the link to our Ko-fi page on our show notes or in any of our social media profile pages.
And as always, thank you to our healthcare workers and first responders for all that they do.
And we thank you, as always, for listening and watching Ladies Talking Leafs. Till next time,
go Leafs, go.
Do you believe?